the Two Guys, One Shaker Cup podcast, hosted by Joshua Shaw and Ryan Buckeye.
What's up, guys and girls? Welcome back inside the Two Guys, One Shaker Cup podcast. Josh Shaw, Ryan Buckeye here to talk about, I guess, how would you preface this topic today? I guess there's a word I'm looking for, Josh. What's the word I'm looking for?
I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it's a matter of just staying on the offense, being aggressive, being optimistic. I don't want to say opportunistic, but it's like this is the time where uncertainty is a little bit scary for everybody, and there's two types of people in the world. There's people that love that and dive into it, and there's other ones that dig their head in the sand and they cry to mama. And we want to talk about the people that are interested in actually doing some aggressive things, running into the fire, because through all that uncertainty and all that, I guess, volatility, it provides a ton of opportunity for people that are okay with
opportunity. That was the word I was looking for. Like seizing the opportunity that's in front of you. And we have talked, I mean, it seems like every week we've been talking about COVID-19 and coronavirus, but because that's what's going on. So we're going to go back, in the archives of what we've been talking about. And we're gonna talk about this, but opportunities, like in every bad, there's good and there's opportunities, and whether or not you want to see those opportunities and seize that opportunity is really up to you as a person. And you hit the nail on the head. Like either you seize the opportunities or you just cry to mama. I like that. Cry to mama. We're getting cry to mama t-shirts made, Josh. Deep V's again, like always. Cry to mama. And we, in our industry, in our world, and across multiple different industries, we've seen both sides of the coin pretty clear. I mean, it's pretty clear who the winners and who the losers are. I mean, to put it how it is. Like, if you're the ones who just are sitting on your hands thinking, well, I'm fucked, then you can look in the mirror and consider yourself like somebody who doesn't have it. Because you shouldn't ever sit there, throw your hands up in the air and be like, I'm done. So, Josh, I want to ask you, I'll start with you. What have you done in the last 5 weeks, whatever it's been, I don't even know anymore, to seize an opportunity to better yourself, your business, your brand?
I think one of the things that, first of all, I think I've been lucky enough to be in a place of people needing my services during this time. So I've been one of the lucky ones where I think I've had a ton of inquiries towards me that I've had to kind of dig through. But I've tried my best to also take this opportunity to do one thing that I don't do as well as I should, and people probably think that I do this okay, but I don't. Is that networking? I have really done a bad job at reaching out to a lot of people that I respect that maybe I don't work with, that I know that I maybe converse with online, and but I've not taken the time to actually call them up or shoot them an email and show them appreciation and actually ask them if they'd like to just get on the phone and talk for a little bit of time. That's something that for me has been extremely helpful to my business, and it's given me a time to really do something I've wanted to do for a while. So this past couple of weeks, I've really tried to highlight people on my list that I've wanted to get to know better, and I've reached out to them, just cold reached out to them, and I've been surprised how many people that are super excited to get to know me. And it's one of those things where I think you forget that maybe there's some cross value that's getting put out into the market. You and I, we put out a ton of content. We see the read rates or the viewing numbers. We see these things, but I don't necessarily always think about the faces behind those numbers a lot of times. So I don't think that people are watching my things. I just think it's just me talking about nerdy shit that nobody cares about, and that's just it. But I've realized that there are some people that are getting some value off of what I say, and it's been great for me to actually reach out and talk to those people, and then be able to just get to know each other on a better, because my business is very much on relationships, long term, really building out networks, really letting people know what I do, what I can help with, and really trying to be a valuable asset to the community and to the businesses that are part of that community and entrepreneurs. So this has been a great time for me just to take one step back, even though I'm way overextended on work, but I've realized that a lot of people do have some extra time, and it's given me this thing in my head to go, this is your time to reach out to some people. So I've spent more time than ever on the phone, just shooting the shit, jamming with different people, have no real agenda, just really just trying to get out there because I can't travel anymore to like clients. I can't go to conferences. I can't, like, I'm missing that part of my business that I should be doing all the time. But this has been a time for me just to like flip my switch and do that. So that's been one thing. I know yours is going to be a little bit different, which I think this is going to be exciting for people that maybe don't that follow me, maybe don't follow you. So this is going to get them in to describe maybe what you've been doing with launching a completely new brand product. You're just going off the deep end. You're just going full on risk. You're just going off to everything. So I think it's your time to talk about like the Fit Butters project a little bit, because I think it's like this has been an area where a lot of people I know that both of us follow have looked at you and said like, this guy's got some balls. All right, we like this. This is good.
That's the biggest thing, man. I thought, let me press this. Is it smart to launch a brand new brand, a brand new business during a time in which people have uncertainty and have no fucking clue what's going on? No, it's probably not. But I'm not your normal everyday person. I wake up every day with mindset thinking like, what can I do today to advance myself, my brand, my business? And I suddenly realized that my main business, Fitness Informant, is going to take a hit because the brands that I work with can't pay their bills, which means I need to put bread on the table, brother, right? Like that's what you have to do. Yeah. So during the COVID-19, during this whole crisis thing, we started to pivot on Fitness Informant in terms of how do we provide value to the brands that I work with. And a lot of that came in the kitchen aspect. We started creating these videos on recipes and healthier versions of X, Y, Z. And ideas started stemming out. I came from, most people who've been listening to this know this, I came from General Mills, where I was brand manager on a brand called Cascadian Farm, which is an natural organic brand, where I was in charge of innovation and across the brand. And a lot of the stuff that we were doing was functional-based foods. We were looking for the functional benefit. Can we do a protein granola, protein bar, vegan, yada, yada, yada. Loved it. And we talk about Expo West here a lot. You go to Expo West, that stuff is going to be functional-based foods or something with it. If it's turmeric or CBD or whatever it might be, they're seeking some type of benefit to sell a product. And we know how booming that industry is. And for the longest time, I wanted to launch a brand leveraging the following that I made on Fitness Informant, not to be a greedy bastard, because you've seen brands out there develop some sort of trust and then they come in with greed and they overcharge you for a product because they're leveraging their brand trust. I wasn't interested in doing that. But we had talked at length, Josh, you and I had plenty of times about like, doesn't it make sense for Ryan at Fitness Informant to start a supplement line? Doesn't it make the most sense, right? You're known as this guy who's a supplement expert or a dietary supplement expert. Wouldn't it make most sense to do that? Well, if I did that, right, we've talked about this, I'm competing with the brands that I work with. That doesn't make any sense, because then the NutriBios, the Ghost, the Right Kinds of the world be like, well, why am I partnering with you if you're going to sell a pre-workout that rivals mine? Here was an opportunity for me to launch a line, launch a brand, a physical product, something that I've wanted to do for a long time, because I think it's super cool to be able to either walk down the store aisle and see your product on the shelf. It's one of the more, it's rewarding things in life. What can I create that's going to leverage my partnerships with people that I work with that can elevate them while allowing me to start a nice, hopefully, business? And part of the work that we're doing in the kitchen led to nut butters, and we're huge consumers of nut butters. Like we would be buying the competitors' brands all the time, what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it. And I also understand that in business you want to seek a target demographic, ones who have disposable income, who will buy your product through good times and bad. And one of the things in this space in fitness world, when it comes down to the female demographic, is they love their nut butters, and they will buy and spend $15 on a nut butter. If all they have left is $15 and 1 penny in their checking account, they will spend it all on a thing of nut butter, because that's how, peanut butter is life. If you don't like peanut butter, something's wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. Develop some recipe stuff. It's like, this is definitely a business. And you obviously, you and I have the skill set and the experience to do like a demographic search and a competitive research and figure out like, where's their white space and where can you play. And in fitness, there is no fitness-centric nut butter brand on the planet until now. Now there is. Fit Butters. We did that. But like, there were great brands out there. They just weren't speaking to us. And since this is the space that I have trust in, and this is the space that people look to me for, it's like, okay, I can create a premium product in this space, which retailers are going to want, which people are going to want. And, we, instead of sitting back and doing nothing and being one of those, cry home to your mama people on the deep V-neck t-shirt, I did something and seized an opportunity and launched the business, launched the brand, had a phenomenal, great first week of business in terms of pre-orders. And, I wouldn't say like we're proven yet. It's still super early, right? People have to get the products and stuff, but I feel very confident that, when this is all said and done, I can look back and tell the story of launching a brand during this crazy time, and people are going to be fascinated by the story. I told you the story before we came on, and I'm going to save that story for a different day, but it's just, you got to try to do something, man. I mean, I could not just sit back and be like, all right, I'm not getting paid on Fitness Informant. I mean, it's not like, I can file for unemployment. I can't do that. So so I had to do something. And I think, especially when you run your own business, and this too, like if your back's against the wall, you find a way, or you fail. You find a way to do something. And granted, I put a buttload of money into this, obviously with equipment, with insurance, with all the things to make this a legit operation. But I know long term, it's all going to come back, and it's all going to be good. And I'm able to still provide value to my partners in a different, unique, out of the box way. So it elevates not only, it elevates my own new brand, it elevates Fitness Informant, it elevates, the brands that I work with. And it kind of was a win-win-win. And if you, you ever watch The Office, you seek that win-win-win every single day of the week. And it definitely takes balls. And honestly, to tell you the truth, if I didn't have cash flow, if I didn't have a surplus of cash flow, like I couldn't do this. I mean, having the money that I had to, I was planning on investing this money into something else. But I thought, the time is right. Let's do this now. And so far, it seems like it was a really good decision. And, obviously, there are going to be hiccups along the way. We're going to learn a lot. I'm going to be calling your cell phone, Josh, be like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And you're going to send me an invoice for the $2,000 an hour that you charge, but it'll be all worth it. It'll be worth it at the end of the day. But I think you're right. Like, people have made comments publicly about like how, and it's been humbling to have people reach out, like, I don't know how you do this, or we couldn't do that thing. It's great. But that's, again, it all comes down to, and we talked about this in a previous episode, like, when life gives you lemons, what do you do? And, seize the day. It sounds cliche and weird, but honestly, like, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. And, nobody can tell you no. And I'm not trying to like curse all the time, since I know a lot of people that listen to this are business professionals. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Nobody can tell you what to do. If you want to take advantage of something, you want to try your hand at something in a time in which people tell you that it's a stupid idea, fuck what they think. Do what you want to do, and be happy. And truth be told, like, I love my Fitness Informant brand. I still am contributing a lot of time to that, but I've not been this excited about something in a long, long time. And it's fun to feel this. It's fun to innovate. It's fun to strategize, to literally everything I do. Myself and my girlfriend Danielle, we literally do everything ourselves. We don't, outside the fact of having an attorney review certain things because we're not an attorney, right? But like, everything else, formulation, ingredient sourcing, label design, everything. We touch every product, and there's a sense of accomplishment with that. And it's pretty cool to see some of the feedback that we've gotten already on the brand, and it's only going to grow. And it's just, I get it now. Like when people would tell me in the past, and you get this all the time, Josh, you got to try my new pre-workout. It's the best thing in the world, or my new protein bar. Like, they drink the Kool-Aid. I get it, because I'm drinking my own Kool-Aid now, because I've created this product that I'm super excited about, because I truly think it's the best. And I'm speaking to people the same way that I've been spoken to in the past, where I would just roll my eyes and say, yeah, I'm sure it is, right? Like, I'm sure it's the best pre-workout. And here I am in the other role being like, Josh, you need to try these nut butters, bro. They're orgasmic. It is going to be, it's a party in your mouth, my friend. Like, and I shouldn't use party in your mouth and orgasmic within the same two sentences. That could be a little weird. But hey, it's fun, man. And you can get it. If you're listening or watching, you can tell how excited I am about this. And that's the thing. Like, if you want to be successful at something, I hope you're excited about it, because you're not going to want to put the long hours in if you're not. That's for sure.
Yeah. The difference I think a lot of times people make is there's the entrepreneurs, like the people that just everything's easy and like they think they're an entrepreneur, and then you don't get that badge until like there's these crazy kind of like in your face things that happen, like from a crisis or some super chaotic thing that you have to like overcome. That's when you get that badge, like an entrepreneur.
Right.
I think at this point, there are less people willing to call themselves an entrepreneur than used. It used to be like this cool term. I used to hate it because I'm like, what are you really doing? Are you like, for me, I'm like 7.5, 8 years into the game. Like, that's what I do. So like, I've earned that kind of thing of like going through that shit and going through great times and bad or whatever. It's like, but a lot of people hadn't really went through a lot of that, and they were just kind of going. But I think it's like this time is like, entrepreneurship for me is like, it's all about uncertainty.
Mhm.
Like uncertainty is life, quite honestly. Like that's day to day for me. And like during this time when everybody's like scared of the uncertainty, like if you are an actual purebred entrepreneur, like this is the time where you're like, this is my world. This is my world. Like this is my time. Like I'm ready to go. And that's not for me to say like that means you go out and take crazy risks. Like you take calculated risks during this time. I mean, there's been definitely a shift in the advisory of my clients that they probably haven't noticed was around like, it's not a negativity, it's more of this like protect the house type of a thing. Like, okay, hey guys, let's look at this whole scenario much differently from a standpoint of a new risk layer that you haven't really considered before, and let's do this. But there's still a ton of like opportunity and things that I've been telling people, like there are holes that have been created by this uncertainty, this volatility in the market. And if you're aligned within that world, you can just take advantage of that. So to your point around like, fitness, health and fitness, or better for you, nut butter type of a situation. Like you have these things working out really well from a categorical macro standpoint. You have grocery during the time, there's really no recession outside of a full depression of like, you don't have any money to buy food. Like people are going to continue to buy food. And they're going to buy shelf-stable things that are going to last for a while. Peanut butter, nut butters, those last pretty well. I mean, if you want them to be.
Yeah.
And then second is like people are looking for better for you. We're during a health pandemic right now. People are trying to make better decisions. This is right in line with everything. So it's you're taking a huge risk, but it's a calculated risk that's like fits into where there's like a hole. Like you're not opening up a gym. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
Although, if you have cash flow and you want to open a gym, now would be the time to do it because gyms are going to go out of business. You have time to build your brand. If you're starting a brand new one, my record would be now is the time, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess that's the you mentioned it when you were talking about your story around like you had the safety net of the cash. You had a liquid state of like there's a buffer. Like you could take risk because you had something to buffer that risk, a stopgap that you could handle those things. That's a big thing that people have to kind of think about right now, where there's like there are winners and losers that are being created like fundamentally right off the bat, and then there's winners and losers that are sitting back and waiting for like the perfect opportunity where like you have these super cash rich companies, you have private equity that has $1 trillion on the balance sheet, all these things that like they're waiting for everybody to crumble and then they're gonna pick up the pieces and buy you all up and do all kinds of stuff. So there's like these different things that are happening in this like pandemic, but like there are huge opportunities. And like if you could create these like must haves or things that align with like the opportunities, this is the time to just jump full force into it and just go. Like if you're built for this,
Right.
That's an important part. If you're built for this, and then if it's not, you need to like probably maybe work on some of the more planning side of it. Work on some of the stuff, like build up some stuff that like would help you. As an example, something that you and I both do and we've been doing and what has helped you launch this product, and if I ever did something that would help me, is like we've built community. We built up a audience. We've built up a value generation system of like creating content and having these networks of people where like eventually when we want to go do something else, people are willing to help us because we put in a bunch of equity to them for a while and we can now take a little bit out of the bank. So right now, maybe if you have an idea in your head, maybe the first step is start to build an audience, start being an expert in that area, start building these things up that you can start storytelling around this, that like you still want to look active during this time. And that's we mentioned is like you don't want to sit and just wait and just kind of like look like you're not doing anything, because it makes you look way worse now than ever. You need to be active. You need to keep the story going. You need to keep something going on. So like whatever you need to do, even if your idea is like dead in the water, you could do things to keep yourself active, to keep the story going, to keep your momentum going. So when it does fire back up, you're right going back on it. You're good to go.
Yeah, I think and also like at the end of the day, right? If I fail, I think the fact that I showed people that I have the balls to do something like this, like it's one of those things that people don't forget. So if Fitness Informant would dissolve because of this whole COVID-19 thing and people are hiring, like I would hope I would be top of mind for a lot of people. Like that guy has he has the want to do something, and I am not at all the type of person who can just sit back and chill. I need to be doing something. I always got to keep my mind busy, and part of that is Yeah, part of that is maybe drive me insane, and like I was telling you before we came on here, like I'm probably gonna die young, but and jokingly, but I mean at the same time, like my level of sleep went from a good solid 6 hours down to a good solid 3.5 or 4, if that, at most. So, but I find it so fun to do something so different, but during a time in which nobody's really doing anything, so it's like why not get out there now? And here I'm talking to retailers, right, whose foot traffic is down significantly. And they have interest in bringing it in because you know what their foot traffic is buying when they're in their stores? Functional foods, protein bars, protein, stuff like that. And they don't have a product like this. So it gives me an opportunity. And it's just, I think, it's just like you mentioned, like the intuition, or some people have it, some people don't. And I can confidently say that Josh Shaw and Ryan Buckeye, we have it. Like we have that way of thinking that I don't know if it's just like embedded in us, from birth or what, but we do look at other people in this space and outside this space that, quite frankly, just don't have a fucking clue. And it's not, I don't know if it's a fault of theirs, if they're just lazy, but I have a hard time sometimes comprehending how people don't perform or don't carry themselves the way that you and I do, in terms of like, I don't understand how somebody can be lazy. I don't get that. And it's and maybe I'm too much for a lot of people. I'm sure I'm too much for a lot of people, but I'm not too much for me. I'm not too much to do what I'm doing. So, but on the spin of that, not to be about like just me and about you, but like you look at brands in our space too. We talked about this on a different podcast, but brands who are continuing business as usual. Like moving forward as if there is nothing going on, because that's what a consumer, like a Doug Miller and Core Nutritionals was a brand we talked about. Like they've launched an intra workout, they're launching a pump product, they're launching a greens product, they launched new flavors of an ABC product. I mean, they're doing business because they don't want to be forgotten. It's the brands who don't do anything, and maybe because they can't afford it, whatever it might be, but the brands who are not doing anything during this time are the brands, post COVID-19 that consumers are going to forget exist. So it's like, stay top of mind. Yeah, you might not make what you thought you're going to make. Your forecast might not be accurate, in April of 2020 with a new pre-workout. But, I mean, you're doing something. And when the gyms reopen and supplement stores reopen and people are looking for supplements, like I would think retailers will turn to that brand and be like, you guys are doing something, something new and exciting. Consumers will walk in and say, I want that new core product that I read about because I had nothing to do for the last 6 weeks but read about supplements that I couldn't use, but now I can use them, so I want that one. So I give credit, and I like applaud the brands who are just continuing to do things and putting forth the money and the time and the effort to launch products and continue business, because at some point this thing is going to end. And we've talked about this on the last episode, like life after COVID-19 needs to take place. And I think if you're doing the things right today as a brand, like you're going to be set up for success in the future.
There's adaptability, like with your plan. Like there's some things that were in motion before all this kind of started, and you can't stop it. So you're in this new kind of there's new rules, there's a new kind of game. So you have to have a new plan, in front of this game. So like be it like a Core or anybody that's still like launching products or whatever. I'll give kind of an example. I won't say who this is, but one of my clients was ready to get on shelf at Target, and they pushed the planogram, but they still had a build of multiple millions of dollars of inventory ready to hit that. But that been pushed because a lot of the retail planograms are getting pushed back because right now they're really just trying to stock the most important products. They don't want to overcomplicate their business. They need to really just streamline it during this time to take care of what they could take care of. Why complicate the system if you don't need to? So right now, that customer is looking there and going, well, now what the hell do we do with all this inventory? Whatever. So it's a matter of then they're sitting there and going, okay, how do we adapt to this? This is the reality of our lives. We need to sell through this in some semblance. So let's shift this to wherever this needs to go. This is, build out different campaigns that work better for Amazon or direct to consumer or whatever, like things that they didn't have in the plan, maybe 8 to 12 weeks ago when all that stuff started to happen from the contract manufacturing side. So you had to kind of change the game with what's going on here. And I think that to bring this more towards like that's kind of like an extreme example, because there's not a lot of people listening to this are going to be like, oh, I have the opportunity to get into Target or whatever. But like, think about it in the sense of like, say you launch a product and you had a bunch of like maybe assets built for like your video and your photography and everything. And they were all in like a gym, or they were all like maybe on a beach, or like you can't use those assets anymore. Those don't work. Those don't work anymore. Like, so now you have to think like, okay, let's change the way this looks. Like, we have to represent the environment that's around us, because that doesn't resonate anymore. You look tone deaf now. Like, if you're sitting there, lifting some heavy weight in a gym that's packed, it's like, that's just not the reality. Reality is people are doing band workouts in their living room. You know what I mean? So it's like, how do you adapt that into whatever you're marketing or into whatever? And there's like little kind of changes that when you are launching a product during a different time frame, when the world looks different, you can't continue to like be full head towards like what you were going to do already. You have to at least adapt some element. Could be huge, like selling a bunch of millions of dollars worth of inventory, or it could be something like just, what is that launch assets going to look like? Because if they don't look like the rest of the world, somebody's going to look at that and go, oh, these guys are tone deaf and idiots, and like, I don't want to, like, it becomes a negative, because like, it just doesn't work today. Like, you've seen, I mean, I'm sure you've seen like the things that are happening in this world. Like, if somebody posts that they're like sitting outside in like their yard or like in a park, you see like comments, people are like, oh my God, I cannot believe you're not staying at home. You're the most terrible person. I can't, like, they start to like rip you apart and like, can I just get outside and get some fresh air right now? You know what I mean? Like, but that's the, kind of magnify that as a brand. You think about like the tens of thousands of people that are going to look at like you posting a picture about being in the gym with a bunch of people around you. They're not going to realize that was like, they're going to think you're breaking the rules.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, these fucking assholes. Like, who the fuck do they think they are? Like, literally, that's like, so it's a matter of like, when you are putting yourself, launching something in a new world, be sure that you're actually understanding the world around you when you're doing it. You can still launch that pre-workout product, but make sure that it actually is like, adapted to the world around you.
That's what I love about Core. I mean, you look at like Doug and Patrick, who represent it, like they're posting videos of them doing workouts, in the warehouse.
I actually, it's funny because I saw, maybe it was, somebody must have liked one of Patrick's posts or whatever. I saw him doing, something with the dip belt, like with like two pallets. And I was like, that's the content. There it is. That's it. Like, that's the reality. Like, if you're having to come into work as an essential service person shipping orders, and you want to try to get a workout in, you're just going to pack it together like freaking MacGyver a workout together. That speaks to people, because a lot of people are MacGyvering workouts together. They're using their bench, they're using water jugs, they're like whatever they got.
It's and the people who follow them too are just like, okay, they're being real. Like, this is what they're doing to get by. What's my excuse? So like, it's been cool to see, brands that are, a lot of brands are doing like at home workout stuff, ebooks and things like that too, kind of like leveraging where we're currently at. Those are the brands who are actually providing content to people who need it and want it. So, and while at the same time, like, I'm doing this pallet, basically like pit shark machine that I just created, and I'm doing it using core theory and core pump. So then they kind of bring it full circle and it makes sense. So it's been cool to watch in our space, because it's been a struggle. It's like, how do we speak to our consumers in this space right now with what's going on? And, some brands do good, some brands are struggling. Has there been any brands, Josh, that have launched, like in the last, like during this time, or done something during this time that impressed you?
That's a good question. I mean, I think there's been a lot of products that have continued on with like flavor variants. I mean, I tend to really be probably more focused on like food and beverage items right now, and I think a lot of those ones are still continuing to do pretty good, and they're strong, and they're going strong with it. Like, I haven't really seen, too much like one that like sticks to my head.
Sure.
And that maybe I'm just, because you put me on the spot and I'm overlooking something, but I have not really saw like something that just like caught my eye out of nowhere. But I don't know. You could probably show me up by naming one.
Me? I mean, besides
that,
you,
no, yeah.
Besides me, no. Honestly, no. I mean, I haven't really like seen a lot. I mean, I guess I've been so busy to pay a ton of attention, but I have not necessarily seen a ton of stuff. I've seen more stagnance than anything at this point. So it's I think. I don't know. I think it's been interesting to see how brands have operated during this time. There's definitely things that I would do differently. I think some brands had an opportunity right in front of their face that they just let go because maybe they were scared or they just weren't ready for it. So,
I guess we we
I know you're going with
like I was going to say NutriBio, like in terms of them coming out with stuff like on the fly that like really speaks to their brand, but also speaks to like what is happening around in the world. Like, I mean, there's a level of people that are just coming out with like the basic, like here's some vitamin C tablets or whatever, like doing the easiest thing possible. And then there's ones that are like still staying strong to their like ethos of the brand and saying like, how can I really formulate a very strong product that we believe is going to be helpful towards first responders or people that are on the front line or whatever. And it's like you're trying to do what you're best at to provide something for people if you have that ability to do it. I found that stuff that was coming out of NutriBio has been pretty cool and unique, just because they're taking it a much step further. You're seeing people that are just kind of doing the basic stuff, and I can't fault people for trying to shift their business as quick as possible to try to catch some semblance of the fall that is the rest of their categories. But I think Mark and the team over there has done a really good job at balancing, putting out some products that are just really well formulated for in the quickest meantime of like what's available and everything. I think they've done a really good job. But other than that, I mean, I've seen some people just like kind of flow through it. I mean, it's only been like 6 weeks, like really of like life-changing type stuff. Obviously earlier on, if we consider China and some of the other countries or regions, but like for us, it's been like really 6 weeks that's like really rocked our world. Yep. So that is a short amount of time, and this is kind of the time where it's like a little bit of a lull during the during some product launches and things, because you just had the New Year's resolutionist for a lot of like our consumer base. If we're talking sports supplements, like they just got done with spring break, so like there's this weird lull in between like spring break and summer where like you kind of fall off a little bit. So and then right now it's just a weird time, like for a lot of the stuff we talk about on a episode to episode basis. Like it's just a lot of that stuff is just not as important as it used to be. Right. It's unfortunate. We talk about like supplements. We talk about it a lot. We love it, and that's where we make a lot of our money. But it's also like it's really not that important in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. It's not. No. You know what I mean? And the businesses that are realizing that and also like figuring out a way to get around that, if it's food, beverage, if it's content, if it's whatever, like they're figuring something out to like keep this going. And if they are launching new products, they hopefully have one of those legs to stand on to be able to draw value from. If it's whatever, if it's like building like the community aspect of it, like you could have launched probably a lot of other things that maybe were a little off trend for like this part of our life. It still probably would have been okay because you built the community, but like you were at least aligned a lot closer to what was something that the rest of the world was already looking to get a part of, and you just found the combination of the sequence that worked best. Yeah,
well, that's the goal, and hopefully, knock on wood, it works out. So if you guys are out there listening and you have a story that follows suit, or if you have something that happened during this time frame and you seized the opportunity, you'd love to hear from it, or if you have any highlights of other brands that you saw, hit us up on our socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on pretty much every platform. 2 Guys, 1 Shaker Cup. Leave us a review on our podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, over at YouTube as well. Helps with the algorithm. At J Shaw Consulting, at Fitness Informant. If you guys are interested in a new venture, it's at The Fit Butters on Instagram. And yeah, good stuff today, Josh. Keep it going. And hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel at some point. And then there should be no more excuses.